Hi, everyone. I'm Allison Howard, founder and CEO of Nollapelli, and I was just honored to be a guest on the Leadership Café podcast with Michael Couch and Richard Citron. You will want to tune in to hear about what Nollapelli actually means. I share more about my passion behind building partnerships and communities, how your network is your hidden superpower, and that often overlooked connection between how we look, feel, and sleep. Tune in.
Well, welcome to another edition of the Leadership Café, where we talk with extraordinary people leading and founding remarkable businesses. Today I'm your host, Michael Couch, and our special guest is a recent colleague, Allison Howard, who is the CEO and founder of Nollapelli, which we'll find out more about. I think I even need to find out what Nollapelli means. So welcome, Allison.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael. It's such a pleasure to be
here. Yeah. So first of all, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and then the business, particularly how in the world does somebody go from a chemical engineer in Cologne, Germany, to a CEO and founder of your own business? Sounds like an interesting journey.
Well, thank you for asking. Yeah. So as you mentioned, I'm a chemical engineer trained here in Pittsburgh at the University of Pittsburgh, and started my career at Bayer, which was headquartered here in Pittsburgh in the US, but in Germany internationally. And so that took me overseas for 4 years with a wonderful opportunity to work in Germany. And over my time with Bayer, I was fortunate to work in lots of different departments. I then moved on to another material science company, different type of high-tech materials, all in all, 20 some years in corporate America, all in high-tech materials. But then towards the end of that time, started to just build some personal passion for a different kind of material, namely our bedding, and really wanting to understand how our bodies and our bedding interact over the course of a night. Because, full transparency, I was starting to notice that I would wake up in the morning with some extra lines on my face and, wasn't very happy about that. But with my engineering hat on, really wanted to dive in and understand that system that includes both our bodies and our bedding and how those two things interact. Long story short, when I didn't find what I thought was a suitable fabric in the bedding market today, I just couldn't shake the thought of why can't we just engineer a new fabric that, really works with our bodies while we sleep and brings together the best of several other materials that are out on the market today. So that's really how that transition happened from corporate engineering to textile engineering.
Amazing. Great. So that's it's a trend we've seen on the cafe, where we've talked with about probably 50 leaders of all kinds, is careers aren't just a direct straight line, are they? And then your change in your career came from a question or a challenge that you felt you needed to face, it sounds like.
Right. Absolutely. I say though, Michael, when I went to college, perhaps the same for you, no one really talked about being an entrepreneur. That wasn't on the radar screen, right? The path that I had seen, because it was what my father had done, was to get a job at a large company and then maybe you retire from that company. And it was, as I was in that journey myself, that I started to realize that there were other avenues and other things that I could do with my background, that would be, potentially very fulfilling and interesting and exciting.
Yeah. So as a leader, what did you find to be the biggest challenge from switching from a technical career to an entrepreneurial career?
Well, I think they often say about starting your own business, if you truly understood how challenging it would be, you might not actually do it. So I would say that absolutely applied to me. I sort of naively and excitedly went in a new direction. In terms of what the most challenging thing was, I think I'd probably be hard pressed to come up with one thing. I also think about that quote. I was just reminded of it recently, that it's it's the unknown unknowns, right? There's the things that you know you don't know, and then there's the things that you don't know that you don't know. And that, all of that applied to me. But for me, really, what got me going and what kept me going was just this firm, idea that I just had to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I just had to keep making progress every day and believe that, the path before me would become clearer. Because in those early days, it was very fuzzy. What exactly am I trying to do, and for whom, and how do I do that? And, then how do I price that and market that and sell that and build that and, all of those things. It was just really just kind of continuing to just put one foot in front of the other, not expecting that first step was going to be perfect, but just, kind of just keep going and you will figure it out, and the path will become clear.
So our previous guest on the cafe was Don Schmenka, excuse me, and global strategist, and he's similar to you. Started off in the science area, and then went on to become a strategist and a consultant. His point was the companies that survive, it's more about not about the what and how, but it's more about the why. So is there do you have a clear why behind Nollapelli, the why you want to do this? Why you are doing this, I should say.
Yeah, that's a great question, Michael. I think for me, there are a few whys, or maybe the why has even evolved over time. As I've learned more about this connection between our body and our bedding, and how to optimize that, learning about all the different factors that go into getting a great night's sleep, I think it's evolved. A big why for me at the beginning was frankly just a desire to build something from scratch that I personally needed. And I had done some consumer research as well, some market research, and talked to hundreds of people and got a sense that, okay, I wasn't the only one who might be interested in this and need a solution if we were able to create a solution. So it went from wanting to solve my own personal problem to, introducing something that could help other people, to, just really wanting that experience of building something from scratch. And now I think that just sort of keeps snowballing on itself. But I fully agree that it's important to have a why.
Great. So as you think back on your career and you think about where you are now, is there any particular experiences that come to mind that really make a difference in how you lead and how you run your business today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was fortunate in my corporate career to have worked in a lot of different departments. So for a lot of different leaders in a lot of different roles. And so, each of those experiences had learnings associated with them, whether it was what to do or what not to do. But I think also, just to sort of go left a little bit here, what's really helped me become an even better leader is my experience as a parent, quite frankly. Really just being a parent has truly helped me to be a better leader.
Oh, great. So I've asked that question probably 1,000 times of all kinds of leaders over the years. And it's interesting. Nobody said, oh, it was my college education, or, they don't, it wasn't a class I took one time. People talk about the experiences they navigated and other people.
Right.
So for you, it was all those unique experiences, like being a parent.
Right.
Never did that before. No?
Yes. Yeah. It all, I think, we can just take value from all of those different experiences.
Yeah. So the other thing that I saw on your background and resume is it sounds like you have a deep involvement with wellness kinds of activities too, and the Global Wellness Institute. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure, absolutely. So the Global Wellness Institute is a global research organization that researches the wide world of wellness, right? Wellness is such a big word. It encompasses so many different things. And this organization has been around for many years, and just so admirably trying to get their arms around, really from a research perspective, what all does wellness encompass? What are the different components? How are they evolving or changing, shrinking or growing? For everything from wellness, real estate, to mental wellness, to beauty, right? Just all of these different components. So they've built this fascinating pie, if you will. They say that the global world of wellness is a $4.4 trillion hub of activities, and they spend time engaging in all of these different areas and connecting with folks around the world to understand how the various components are changing and how they're changing in different parts of the world. So just kind of going back to my own international experience, that's always just been a strong interest of mine to engage internationally and understand what's happening in other parts of the world, and how do they do the maybe the same things or different things than we do here. So that's always been a personal passion of mine. And so when I learned about the Global Wellness Institute, it was through a colleague of mine, or a person that I had gotten to know in my new role in Nollapelli. And she kindly facilitated an introduction to some folks there. And I first got involved in one of their initiatives that was called Beauty Meets Wellness. So really recognizing that connection between how we look and how we feel, and just how important that is to our own, mental wellness. And so I was part of a group called Beauty Meets Wellness, and for a number of reasons that group dissolved. And as that group was dissolving, I thought to myself, okay, well, I could step up and potentially carry that group forward. But then I saw, just this even bigger opportunity around sleep, that in this wide world of wellness, sleep wasn't being given that much attention, or as much attention as I think it could be given or should be given. And so, instead I raised my hand and said, do you see an opportunity to create a group that is focused on sleep and really elevating conversation on sleep and educating on sleep for consumers, for, folks in the travel industry, like hotels? How can you, design a hotel room that's more conducive to sleep, for instance? And that was met with great acceptance and interest. And so, I moved into that role. It's been about a year and a half, I think, maybe coming up on 2 years. And it, just what a fabulous experience to pull together international experts on sleep and different components of sleep, whether that be, mattress technology, or supplement technology, or researchers at universities, or, pediatric sleep experts and family sleep experts. It's really just been fascinating to pull together this group of experts and pull together some content that could be really valuable for everybody out there.
Oh, amazing. And so you've touched on a couple things that, again, we've seen as trends as we talk with extraordinary leaders on the cafe. Is one, networks are important. And it's almost, you need your network. You should have a network before you need it. So the idea of having, building the connections or using the connections if you suddenly need a network for it's tough to build. So you need to take time.
Right, exactly.
Was that your experience as well?
Yeah, I just heard someone say the other day that your network is your net worth. And I thought that was kind of interesting, that yes, but in the same breath, then how important it is to keep up with that network at all times, not only when you need something from them, right? That how important it is to just, be connected to the people that you're connected with and engage with them and offer your own help and support to them, and not just, tap into them when you need them. So yeah, I mean, networking is I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's also been something that's just personally been a passion of mine and a joy of mine, to meet new people and connect with them and really try to get to know them and understand what they're all about and what they're doing, and then think about ways that I might be able to help them or connect them. So yeah, that's something that I feel like comes easier to me. That's just fun.
Right. So the idea of effective networking means you don't start off by looking for what they can give to you, but for you, first of all, what can I do for you, or how do we make the connection, and then find an opportunity to give back.
Right.
Would that be the Allison Howard secret to networking there?
Yeah, that's a good way to boil it down. That's for sure.
The second piece that again we've heard as a trend is building community, particularly around something you have a passion in. It's very closely associated, I think, with that whole network.
Right.
But the idea that you're creating a community that probably is great benefit for the business, but also great benefit for you personally. Is that how you view it as well?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So our sleep initiative could be thought of as a community, right? Starting
Sure.
with that kind of core community of leaders. I've learned so much from each of those experts on the call, and I'd like to think they've learned a little bit from me as well. But right, yeah. So really building a community around a shared interest or a common topic, and Nollapelli is really seeking to do the same thing with our audience of folks who care about sleep and beauty and wellness. That's really at the core of Nollapelli.
You remind me of some research. So there's great research going on now around network and network analysis. And it used to be that we would ask people, who's your network? Now we can go into technology, emails, podcasts, whatever it might be, and see where people connect and how they connect. One of the best predictors of how effective research and development functions within a business is how strong their external network is versus that internal network. So you're in the business of creating new and different products. It sounds like that external network is absolutely critical to you.
Oh, absolutely. I came into Nollapelli without any network in this particular area of textiles, right? I had worked with a lot of advanced materials, but never performance yarns and fabrics. And so I had to build a network from scratch. But that was also, just a fun and exciting challenge. And now I'm really starting to dig in deep with vendors and manufacturers and, just really digging in and building a network. And it's quite satisfying to look back and say, wow, 5 years ago, this wasn't a part of me at all. And now look, I've kind of built this whole other part of me and taken my engineering background and my materials background and just applied it in a whole new direction.
Great. Right. So that's great advice, not only for somebody starting a business, but probably almost for any leader, who wants to have their career and continue to be successful and advance. You need a good network and you need to be intentional about it.
Yeah. I mean, even when it comes to things like hiring, you probably know a lot more about this than I do, but, lots of people will say that as we're looking to build our team at Nollapelli, for instance, that, can you tap into your network? Sure, you can put a job posting out there on any of the sites, but, the more that you can tap into your network to say, here's what I'm looking for, who do you know? Those kinds of connections are also incredibly valuable.
Yeah, and now with the neuroscience research, we're realizing while we can watch our brains in action while we're working, our brains view work and business, first of all, as a social system. And it's it's looking for rewards and threats and rewards from a social standpoint. So it sounds like if you can capitalize on that, and really think about my work is not just making a product, but it's building community, building networks, sort of everybody rising with, in the same tide kind of stuff. Cool stuff. Excellent.
Yes, right. Building partnerships. Yeah, all that stuff.
I forgot to ask you, what does Nollapelli stand for?
Yeah, that's another great question. So I'll take a half a step back. Coming up with the name for a business. I don't know if you've, had these experiences. It's quite the challenge, right? Not only do you have to find a name that that, feels right and looks right and sounds right, you have to find a name that's available.
Oh,
That's a whole nother layer of complication on top of it, because today, so many names have been snatched up multiple times. And, the example I always use is Dove soap and Dove chocolate, right? They're both kind of entrenched in their spaces, and they have the same name. And that is allowed to exist because they're in such different spaces. Yeah. But, coming up with the name was a big challenge, quite frankly. And we spent the better part of a year on it in the background, before we officially launched. So all the R&D, things were just kind of running below the radar screen. But, it took the better part of a year, and I just tapped my network, right? Every creative person I knew, I would invite them to come in for wine and whiteboard sessions, I called them, right? Come into the conference room at 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'll have some snacks, I'll have some wine, we'll have our markers, and we'll just start talking about, feeling this fabric, thinking about it. What does it mean? What does it, and, just brainstorming words. And we had pages and pages of words, and, and then at the end of the night, we kind of pull out our favorites and look up and say, oh, that one's taken. Oh, that's not going to work for this reason or that reason. And so, yeah, eventually the word Nollapelli came to the surface. Nollapelli is actually the Finnish word for love. And another reason why I loved the word is because the Latin word for skin is pellis. And so Nollapelli, sort of like love your skin, that was very much at the origin story of the company. And it sounded right. It felt right. It looked right. Full disclosure, the Finnish word is not spelled with 4 L's like Nollapelli is. It's only spelled with 3. But, thinking about balance, because we talk about balancing moisture, temperature, and friction, we took a little bit of liberty there. But, the beautiful part was that the word was available. We could get Nollapelli.com. We could get Nollapelli on all of the social channels. We didn't have to do anything funny. Or pay any crazy sums of money to get the URL or the social handles. And so that's the name.
And it's and then the story also creates a great brand, too, and it reinforces the brand too. I went through the same thing. What am I going to call my company when I was starting back in 2007? And then I think, right, and our director and producer, who's helping us out here, Chad Barr, the idea was, well, you are your brand, and when you're a solo practitioner like this, so that made a lot of sense. So it's Michael Couch and Associates. But I love the story behind the name Nollapelli too. Very compelling. So what's on the horizon for Nollapelli? Can you tell us anything new or different that's coming down the pike?
Sure, I would love to. So, again, while you may look on the surface and see a bedding company with Nollapelli and our bed sheets and pillowcases, it's important to recognize that we are really a technology first company, right? That it's about new and innovative fabrics that solve problems for consumers. So that help you sleep cooler and deeper and wake up looking and feeling more refreshed. So under that same umbrella of textile technology for sleep, beauty, and wellness, I am so excited to say that we're going to be introducing very soon an eye mask or a sleep mask, right? That many folks will recognize as something that you would wear to cover your eyes while you sleep. There's been a lot of research that shows if we block out all light, how that really helps our bodies to get deeper sleep, which is important for restoration. So, the eye mask accomplishes that, but true to our, angle around textile technology, the fabric on the inside that goes against your face works with your body heat to increase the circulation in those top layers of your skin around your eyes. And so the end effect of that should be eyes that look more refreshed in the morning, less puffiness, less dark circles, over time, fewer fine lines and wrinkles. So, perfectly in our sweet spot of textile technology for sleep, beauty, and wellness. When I came across this yarn back before the pandemic, back in the early R&D days of Nollapelli, and was so excited about it. And immediately thought of iMask as an application. And quite frankly, it's just has taken this long to get all of the pieces of the puzzle put together and start to get the first products made. So,
exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
One thing that has really driven our research around leadership development and organizational development and organizational culture is following the evidence. There's so much out there around leadership, around culture, and it's worthless. There's no evidence or research behind it. So I love your approach. So that's the engineer way back when. What are the facts? What are the facts, ma'am? And what's the research say? So that it can be something that's impactful, not just pretty or nice. Is that
right? Yeah, exactly. For me, it wouldn't be as exciting to just create another brand of something that you can buy this brand or that brand and it's pretty much all the same, right? That wouldn't have been exciting for me, to take the risk and put all of the heart and soul into creating something for scratch. For me, it had to be something that was new and different. Now that comes with its own challenges. No one's ever made this sort of thing before, and so
yes,
that has a lot of its own challenges with us. But for me, again, I'm not sure the world needs another, 100% cotton sheet brand or, silk eye mask brand. So for me, there needs to be some deeper meaning there.
Oh, fantastic. Great. So if folks want to find out more about you, about Nollapelli, what's the best way for them to dive into it?
Yeah, so certainly nollapelli.com, Nollapelli. You'll find us on the web there. You can sign up for our email list there to stay in the know. The iMask is not officially launched, so you'll want to just sign up and stay tuned on that if that's of interest. I'm also on all the social channels. We're just at Nollapelli, so pretty easy peasy there. And if there's interest in connecting with me personally, LinkedIn would be the best place to do that.
Great. Well, Allison, one of the things that we've been asking consistently on the cafe, a lot of people talk about what the pandemic and other recent challenges have done to us and to our organizations. We've been asking, well, what has the pandemic and these other recent issues done for you and your organization? What do you think about when we ask that question?
Yeah, well, first of all, I completely agree that there's a benefit in there too. It is very easy to think about all of the negative aspects of that, and certainly just how many people have been so sadly affected by it. But for us as a business, I would say without a doubt, it's raised everyone's consciousness on the importance of sleep and wellness and taking care of yourself. Especially in those early days, even that idea of making your home more of a cozy comfort spot that you really, enjoy being in and look forward to spending time in. So, so there's that part of it. So I think just broadly how it's really raised our awareness of the importance of sleep and wellness and that, connection to our immune system.
Great. Well, Allison, it's been great reconnecting and great having you here on the cafe. As a thank you, we'll be sending you a copy of our book, Strategy Driven Leadership, and Richard and I will sign it. So someday it'll probably be worth thousands on eBay once you're finished reading it. But and when we produce or publish the podcast, you can view it almost on all your favorite podcast spots, on Richard's website and my website. And also on LinkedIn, Spotify, and any other place you like to watch it. We also want to make sure we thank our producer director extraordinaire, Chad Barr from the Chad Barr Group, who's helping all the technology stuff work well in the background. So, Allison, thank you again for being a guest here on the Leadership Cafe.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael. It was such a pleasure.
Great. Yeah, and I'm Michael Couch, and we look forward to seeing everyone on the next episode. Take care and sleep well.